to noon.
St. Charles, Minnesota, go crazy. St. Charles native Brad Nessler, one of the great college sports boxes in the history of football and/or basketball, calls games for the CBS family. Most recently did Samford and Kansas in the NCAA tournament. And Brad joins us shortly, but let's listen to the late stages of that game.
Show him recovering. It didn't work out well. Oh, excellent three ball. Excellent play. Wow.
It's down to one.
Kansas has to be strong with the ball, and then it's going to come down to are they going to be able to knock down their free throws?
90-89. Kansas gets the ball in. Ahead to Timberlake on the run.
It's a block.
And he missed the shot.
Did they call a foul?
He went for the jam. Should have gone for the layup. Hit the deck hard.
I got to see the replay. Was that clean? I got to see the replay, though. That was clean. I don't know if there was a foul. Right.
Hey, Vox, excellent call as usual, and some controversy after that game a week ago. Good morning.
Hey, PA, how are you, man?
Pretty good.
Yeah, that's too bad that it came down to that late stage and, foul was called. It was a clean block, but that happens. And I talked to some of the Sanford fans after the game. They were so happy to be there. They said things like, hey, we didn't shoot our foul shots well enough. You know, you can't go shoot 58% for the free throw line and expect to beat Kansas. So they had a great, a great approach to it and weren't complaining about it. But, yeah, it's too bad when the officials missed one that late in the game that could have made a difference.
Now, Brad, you've called so many big games and so many. You've been to so many wonderful stadiums and arenas where the tension's been high. But when it comes to calling the NCAA tournament, even round one, like Kansas, a blue blood, Samford, that school from Alabama, an upstart type squad. But to hear the crowd behind you, and I'm watching the game and I'm listening to you, and I'm just thinking, wow, what a blessing to call a job calling the NCAA tournament and all of the adrenaline and emotion that goes into it.
Yeah, Paul, when we got there and went to the practice sessions on Wednesday, I was a little nervous because sometimes the practice sessions, they're open to the public, and there was nobody there. I mean, sometimes the bands came from some of the teams and that type of thing, but I've been places where if Kansas is, playing in Tulsa or something like that, there might be 20,000 fans, watching practice, and there was nobody at any of the practice, and I thought this is not going to go well. And, we got there Thursday, and there was 18,000 people in there, and they were fired up, and the Sanford folks especially, that hadn't been there in 24 years to an NCAA tournament, and that feeling, you can feel it, and they immediately go for the underdog in just about every arena. And when something like that happens and they're down 10 at halftime and they cut it to 2 and it goes down to the last few seconds, it makes the hair on your arms lift up. I know that, but it's a great feeling, and it's fun to be part of it.
Do you still live in the Atlanta area?
I do. It's sunny and 72 today.
Yeah. How?
I said that because I think you guys got a little springtime snow.
That sucks. No, but it's tough to say it sucks because it's been spring all winter. Yeah, we got smacked. You being St. Charles, raised in St. Charles immortality, you know what the sideways snow looks like, and it's like 19 right now. But that's okay. We're still blessed to have sunny skies. But with you living in the Atlanta area, and I don't know how closely you follow sports outside of what you're going to call and stuff, but how excited are they down there to have Cousins at quarterback for the Falcons?
I figured you're going to ask me that. Kind of a mixed review, to be honest with you. I think a lot of people are totally excited about it just because of the quarterback situation that the Falcons have had for the last 2 years. It's been horrible. And on the other hand, they're saying, well, 2 years ago we got rid of Matt Ryan, who was probably the greatest Falcon ever, and he was 36 years old. And now we got a 36-year-old quarterback coming in that's coming off Achilles surgery. So you got a little mixed bag. I think most people are happy, but there are other people that think that the Falcons should have gone, in a younger direction instead of a guy that's 36 years old. So it depends on who you talk to, and I've got friends that I hang out with, and it's kind of 50-50 right now.
Hey, 3 months ago, you and Gary Danielson called your final SEC on CBS football game. So, like, what do you roll with next?
Big Ten, man.
Yeah, that's sweet.
I'm coming home. Or I'm going out west. I don't know. It's the Big 18. I don't know where I'll be.
Right.
But yeah, we're going into it together at least for a year, and we'll do the Big Ten championship, and then we'll see what happens after that. But it's going to be a lot different for me because I've lived in the SEC for 45 years, and a lot of those weekends where I'm on the CBS bus with my face all plastered all over the side, and get home on Saturday night sometimes from those games. And I don't think I'll be getting home a lot of times on Saturday night from Big Ten games, whichever part of the country they're played in.
When back to the SEC for a second, Brad Nessler, CBS basketball and football Vox. He's elite, St. Charles, Minnesota. Great to have him on. When LSU and Alabama, Brad, are really good, LSU and Alabama in football, when they're really good, is there a better game to call than those two at Tiger Stadium or Death Valley, as it's been called?
No.
Yeah.
Either that or Tuscaloosa. It doesn't matter where they play because it's usually going to be at night. And, at night at LSU, the fans are maybe a little more intoxicated than in Tuscaloosa. But other than that, doesn't matter the site. That's the best game you can call. It's always a knockdown, drag out. I mean, back to the old days when it was 9-6, and then the new wave era where it's 42-39. Kind of seen it all, the low-scoring games, the high-scoring games. The only other game that compares to it in the SEC is the SEC championship game in Atlanta, because then you got the best of the best, and you know that one of those teams is going to the playoff or farther. So that's about as good as it gets, though, Alabama and LSU.
What about the Iron Bowl? I mean, that's pretty cool, too, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's been few years ago, Georgia was number one and Auburn beat them. And then it switched to Alabama being number one and Auburn beat them. And so Auburn played two number one teams in back-to-back weeks and then went to the SEC championship and got beat by a team that was number 1 2 weeks before that. So that stretch is awesome. And, the one we had this year was the craziest, not the craziest one because there's been the kick six and there's, been all those great plays, but, 4th and goal from the 18 is pretty incredible that they pulled that one out. So that was a lot of fun, too.
Hey, Brad, did you perchance see much of LSU quarterback Jaden Daniels last season? And if so, what do you think?
I love him. I actually did one of his games when he was a freshman at Arizona State. They went to the Sun Bowl in El Paso. So I saw him as a scrawny little kid, with little buggy whip arms, and he was the freshman of the year in the conference out there. And then saw him when he came back as a junior and senior at LSU, or his final 2 years at LSU. And, not this past year, but the year before, you could see how far he'd come and developed. And, I mean, I was like, wow, this guy's something else. And I had him, I don't know, at least 3 times, I guess, 2 years ago, and then had him several times this year, and he just kept getting better and better. And I thought for a while, he's a guy that can run and he can throw a little bit. And then I said, wait a minute, he can throw a lot and he can run a lot. So I love him. I think he's going to be a great pro if he gets in the right spot. College basketball for a second with Brad Nessler. The old ACC is going great guns right now. Holy cow. This NC State team might not be done upsetting teams. I don't know what you think, man, but I didn't watch him play. Honestly, I hadn't watched him play since Lorenzo Charles played for them.
and I catch them in the AC. So I catch wind that they'd won 4 in a row in the ACC tournament, and O'Connell hits this desperation 3 to force overtime, and then they advance. So I watch them against the Blue Bloods, the Tar Heels, and then now I'm learning from the Vox that, all of the transfer portal players they have and everything is kind of a free agency team that's come together, and they're good. I mean, this NC State team, man, what do you think?
It's weird because the two teams that I undervalued the most, and I used to do, back in the day, all ACC games before I did all SEC games. And so, I was like an ACC guy and then became an SEC guy or whatever. But the two teams I undervalued were Clemson and NC State. And I only seen Clemson play like twice this year. NC State, not so much at all. The thing I thought about NC State going into the tournament is that they were going to fire Kevin Keats. That's the thing I thought I knew about. And they run off 5 straight. He gets a contract extension. He gets he's up to about $700,000 in bonuses, I think, and they're still rolling. And DJ Burns, their big guy inside, is really fun to watch.
Yeah.
So they went from, to me, an unknown because I didn't pay enough attention, just like you said, to definitely being, right now they don't think they can be beaten.
Right.
They've won 7 games in 12 days. You can't even do that in the NBA usually. So it's got that 83 kind of NC State run look to it,
What was it, Brad, back in the day? What was it like when you used to call NFL games with Mike Mayock?
It was a lot of fun, those Thursday night games. We had a blast. The only thing I didn't like about it is I did a Saturday game right after that. So I was double dipping over, a 48-hour period. But the NFL, I mean, you've done it forever. NFL to me is easier to do than college because a lot of the players just because they've been there, even though there's so much free agency and all of that. But, you know who the stars are, and they may change periodically from one team to the next. But, you're only worried about 53 guys for the most part instead of 100. So it's different, but I loved it. I'd still do the NFL again if I had a chance.
Football, Brad, who are some, top of the head, and if you got nothing, that's fine. Who are some of the players you have seen, say, the last couple of seasons, all right, with the SEC on CBS, who will be drafted in a month, and you just know that they're going to be good?
Right off the top of my head, Alabama, Kool-Aid McKinstry, the cornerback, Dallas Turner, edge rushing linebacker, those two guys for Alabama.
Yep.
Georgia will have a bunch. Kendall Milton, their running back, who never had a 1,000-yard season, to be a really good NFL player. Both the receivers from LSU are going to be super, I think, Neighbors and Brian Johnson. And, we talked about Jaden Daniels. Oh, man. You caught me off guard. I got a list of 100 of them.
Yeah.
If I thought about it hard enough. But
yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah, there's some guys out there that you go, he's going to be a first round pick, or even if he isn't a first round pick, he's going to be a big time contributor.
Yep, I appreciate that. What and speaking of college, calling college football games, SEC on CBS. What was it like calling LSU games in 2019? I mean, seriously, with Burrow going play action off Clyde Edwards-Helaire and throwing to either Jefferson or Jamar Chase. Holy cow! With all that, Brad,
it was unbelievable. And and Tua was still around too at Alabama, so. I don't know what the final score of that one was, 44-40 or something like that. They just kept throwing touchdown passes. And you looked out there and you said, there's so many people on this field right now that are going to be in the NFL, and I'm glad I'm seeing it, and I'm glad I'm watching it. And I had met Joe Burrow's dad, Jimmy, at the Peyton Passing Academy that summer because Joe was one of the counselors. And so I got to know him a little bit. And, we still exchange texts now, even when Joe's injured or has a great game, it's always, hey, your kid did great and all that kind of stuff. So got to know the Burrow family a little bit. Joe's a different cat, man. He's the cool Joe thing. I mean, he would come into our meetings and he'd be wearing, SpongeBob SquarePants socks or whatever you call it. I mean, he's a little different, and you can see that when he comes into the stadium with some of the garb he's got on. So he's his own dude, but I like him a lot. He's cocky and now some people get compared to him, which is funny because he hasn't been in the league that long. But J.J. McCarthy's got a little bit of Joe Burrow in him in a different kind of way, sort of a Zen sort of way. I mean, when you're talking about what the Falcons should or could have done, in my opinion, I would have tried to move up just a couple spots from number 8 and take J.J. McCarthy, a quarterback, and have him be the future of the franchise. I like that kid a lot.
Well, so what leads you to that opinion? I mean, it's SEC on CBS, but you're an elite football mind.
Yeah, well, I did a Michigan game early in the season, and then I kept in touch with him. He was nice enough to have one of my best moments of the year when I got together with his dad for a beer the night before the game, and he was talking about his former teammate who played for UNLV, who wore number 47, was a defensive end, and JJ had number 47 written on his left wrist during the game, and nobody knew that story except me because I was out having a beer with his dad. But anyway, I tell that story, and on cue, he throws a 47-yard touchdown pass. And JJ and I exchanged texts after the game, and I said, hey, man, God put it at the 47-yard line, but thanks for getting it there because that was maybe my best call of the year.
Amen with that. All right, time for 2 more for Brad Nessler. That 15-0. Back to LSU just for a second. It's kind of a cliched, low-hanging talker for like sports abyss time, but nevertheless, your take is markedly better than A, mine, and B, most. That 15-0 LSU bunch very well could be the greatest college football team of all time, right?
It's in there. Like 2003 Miami team, I did about 4 or 5 of their games. They must have had 12 guys on that team that went on to be all pro in the NFL. They were really good too. And there's some others, but yeah, that one could score so much and they could play defense too. Georgia's teams, both their national championship teams, different kind of good, but still really good. And I know there's a lot of other ones I'm leaving out there.
No, but I mean, that run the Canes had where there was like a former Miami Hurricane to score a touchdown in the National Football League every like Sunday or every week for like, I don't know, 10 years or something. It was unbelievable, but
right.
That 03 team, man, I mean, Devin Hester, Roscoe Parrish was an unbelievably good college football player. Frank Gore, who else? I mean, Brock Berlin was a junior quarterback. It just goes on and on with these names here. And
you're pulling up better names than I could have, but their linebacking core, their tight end, everybody was good.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at it.
They had like Ed Reed and those guys in the secondary too. They were all over the place.
Jonathan Vilma, Rocky Mack.
Yeah.
Holy cow! Now for the Canes, why do you think the Miami Hurricanes and their football program no longer are even close to ballyhooed?
I don't know. They just had that stretch in there where it was the U, and everybody wanted to play for the U, and it was cool to play for the U. They played out in the old Orange Bowl and stuff, and it was a scruffy place, and I did a bunch of games there, and I don't know why they can't get it back together. And I know there's a lot of rich dudes down there with NIL. I don't know how they can't make it work now. If they aren't going to make it work now, it may never come back. I'm not sure.
All righty. Wonderful chat as usual. God bless you and your family. Speaking of your family, your wife, Nancy Wilson, I hear she's teaming with daughter Ann Wilson and doing a bunch of heart songs, but with a jazzy feel. Is that the case?
Yeah, she's going out on the road. It's a heart knockoff group, basically. She can use her maiden name and just get together with another girl and put it all together. They're playing small venues, just as little amphitheaters around the little towns around the South. So it's going to be a deal. I get in for free, so that's fun. Yeah,
well, guess what? After the Falcons play the Vikings this year, they're going to be playing taps at one of those small bars in the Atlanta Buckhead area. Brad,
beautiful.
Love you very much, my brother. Let's stay in touch, and great chatting with you, all right?
You got it, PA. Thanks, buddy.
See you about Brad Nessler. That's college and college basketball and football play-by-play immortality. Used to call Vikings games for a short amount of time on the radio at the Metrodome. and he's done just so much.
He's one of the best.
Affable, amiable, accurate. His crescendo building and some of those big calls are just beautiful. Very, very good at what he does. Likewise is Nordo, Eric Nordquist, and he will lead us through News Due Nord around the corner on KFAN.
Welcome back, 9 to noon is News Due Nord, and it's brought to you by The Casino at Canterbury Park, CanterburyPark.com for all event details. It's poker, blackjack, table games all year round, having sips at chips. And what we're all doing right now is we're waiting for the snow to get the heck out of here, and eventually there's going to be live racing. So CanterburyPark.com, live racing schedule, and you'll have a blast at Canterbury. Now we're going to start with the Minnesota Timberwolves. You're going to hear that right here on your home for the Howl, the Fan this evening. And the Detroit Pistons are in town. Earlier in the show, kind of breaking down what's the lot in life for the Minnesota Timberwolves, third in the Western Conference at this point. And you're watching the Suns and Nuggets game. That's a late one this evening as we play that three-horse race, jockeying for position, who's going to get who's going to be tops in the West by the time it's all done. Well, guess what? You have to beat the awful teams. And it's the Detroit Pistons in town. So looking forward to seeing the Detroit Pistons take that L at Target Center tonight. And looking forward, hopefully, for consistency as things continue to build here with this team into the playoffs. Of course, no Karl Anthony Towns, and you're wanting to see after a game like the other night when you got late free throws and late action from Mike Conley, when you saw plays being made, Rudy back in the mix, Nas back in the mix, loving all of that. But now this is a situation where, in some ways, not only getting the win, maybe some style points need to be part of that. Cade Cunningham, potentially questionable out of the mix, shouldn't matter. We should see the Wolves beat down the Pistons tonight, right, PA?
Yeah, but don't be surprised if it takes you a minute to get there, because that's just how the NBA works.
Yeah,
it's this is not super special. UConn versus Stony Brook in late November.
Right. And
the crowd's packed at some Thanksgiving tournament. They're going nuts, chanting, we love Nordo. We love Nordo. So, and then like one side of the stands to the UConn fans, to the Stony Brook fans are going, we got Nordo. Yes, we do. We got Nordo. How about you? And they have a player, last name Moore. We got more. We got more. And then UConn wins by 50, and they're up by 24 minutes into the game. NBA ain't like that.
Right.
Style points matter.
It's not an any given Wednesday type of situation?
No. A loser-proof game this evening. A loser-proof game. May take you a minute to get there.
Because they're thinking the same thing.
The Wolves?
I think in some way. I mean, if you're you're chilling, you want to handle business, you want to get W's, but you're like, let's stay healthy. Yeah. Let's get through this. The Pistons are just working their way into that lottery slot, and let's just get through this alive. I mean, in some ways, if you're the Wolves, you think about it, it's the Pistons, don't you? I mean, you try to fight that, but It's the Pistons.
Well, right. And
don't turn it into that Celtics fiasco that took place 3 months ago, but still, it's the Pistons.
You don't, the last thing you want to do against a team like this is get under somebody's skin via trash talking so that they actually care. Because then it's like Mackey Sasser, is it Mackey or Mickey Sasser? Or Jalen Duren, whatever. Duren. I mean, they got a bunch of L's. Killian Hayes never plays. Cade Cunningham, who cares? For them, they are gifted and they are talented. Okay, these individuals for the Detroit Pistons may be part of one of the very worst organized professional basketball teams in North America, but all of them still are part of the 0.9% highest best basketball players of anybody in the world. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So you don't want to get under anybody's skin. Don't piss off anybody so that it's like, remember when who'd the Falcons fire during the pandemic? Was it Raheem Morris? No, that's their coach now.
Oh, they fired, what's his face?
Yeah.
Raheem Morris came in.
Yeah.
It wasn't Arthur.
He had a little leather neck. He was gruff and tough.
Was it Dan Quinn?
Dan Quinn.
I think it was Dan Quinn.
Yeah. Well, the first game they played, okay, now they got injuries. They have no hope. I mean,
Hayden Hurst uncovered.
It's disease, this Falcons bunch that came to U.S. Bank Stadium. And they had just fired their coach. Well, they made some plays against the Vikings early, and there was trash talking and stuff. I mean, you see that group on the sideline full of 72% of the team being of the L variety, and they're jumping up and down and high-fiving, and like they're loving each other as gifted athletes, and they became engaged. So, you know what? Even if the Pistons are engaged, they're still going to lose by 15 or more.
Yeah.
So the A topic here is you want it to stay close until late third, early fourth quarter. And here's why I thought about this morning. While not in the Final Four of League Freak is Life, the greatest fantasy basketball league in the history of said entity, I am in the Final Four in Spearfish's Baby League, first year of the league. So I am in the Final Four there, and I have Mike Conley. So I started thinking, and I know you have Conley on the con artist. Well,
I'm sweating it hard.
Well, what you're sweating is them being up by 40 early third quarter.
Correct.
And now it's all of a sudden McLaughlin and Monte Morris. Your prize picks bit. I heard you do that live read earlier. Monte Morris, like prize picks, underdog, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He's sneaky tonight. Just take a peek at Monte and just look at a couple of things, all right? I know you got to do more to win, but you know what I'm saying.
Well, this isn't like a Jonte Porter situation, is it?
That's a great point. All of a sudden, Finch plays Monte Morris 6 minutes for no reason. Yeah, but that means we'd actually have to wager 40 or 50 grand, and that ain't going to happen.
Mortgage payments on the unders.
So, I mean, we need 26 or more out of Conley.
Yeah.
Minutes.
Correct.
Yes, because the rest will take care of itself.
Where are you at on dimes? You need a big assist night? Because again, up and down with Conley over the last couple of months. Mm-hmm. Dimes are down, then he hits you with a 7 or an 8, then he hits you with a 2, and he goes 2 of 10 from the floor.
You got to use him.
You have to use him, though.
Yeah, you just have to use him. And another sneaky. See, in the other league, in Spearfish's Baby League, we only get a maximum amount of pickups during the week, and that number is 4. But we also have an IR, an IL, so you can. But so this morning picked up Kyle Anderson. Picked up Kyle, thinking about what we're talking about now. Everybody's playing in the high 20s. Here comes Kyle with a 30-minute game. Something like 12, 7, and 7 with 2 steals. Baby Spearfish's league has been slayed.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I'm like, how pumped are you for a 9-5-5 game with 2 steals and a block? You can't wait.
Yeah, that'd be fine, man. Yeah, that's so they'll win tonight, and then at Denver is going to be a meat grinder. They'll beat Chicago over the weekend, and we'll just go. Like, how many weeks are left? How many games have the Wolves played?
They have 11 games left.
11.
I believe.
All right, so we got. I was right earlier when I said 2 weeks. I'm like, damn, that's too short.
No, it's true. We're right at the bitter finish here.
Right.
And I think 7 of 11. Yeah, 7 of 11 are at Target Center.
Oh, you get that?
Everything lines up for the Wolves if they are just competent and handle business down the stretch.
You get that Atlanta Hawks news? Holy cow.
What?
The Atlanta Hawks are making NBA history tonight. The only player they're using is DeJounte Murray.
I always love that one.
They're going to play 1-on-5, and he has to play the full game. The projected performance, or whatever the analytics would be, projected stats for him tonight: 83 points, 42 rebounds, 67 assists, 17 steals, and 4 blocks. With only 2 turnovers, but that only matters in Baby Spearfish's league.
Well, the only thing that's good for Con in that regard
with that DeJounte
is that he can't get assists when he's playing 1-on-5. So,
oh yeah, he can pass it off the backboard.
So at least I'll get dimes as I play the shoe shiner.
Good point.
Let me see here, wrapping things up. Oh, one more thing, Jaden Daniels. So I think you're going to be able to watch this on NFL Network tonight, 7 or 8 o'clock.
Well, I'm watching something on Twitter that must be a live feed from the LSU Pro Day.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Well, I just watched Neighbors, one of the receivers.
Yeah, Malik Neighbors is sweet.
Bro, he busted ass in this 40. Like, Jaden Daniels went nuts.
Well,
like, I'm watching Jaden run along the sideline, too, and I'm like, damn, man, his 4.8 looks pretty good.
Going back to the idle hands conversation of no dominoes have fallen, so we can get very creative with our ideas of will Kirk stay, will he go, JJ, Daniil, etc.
Thomason reports that the anti-Vike has a private sit-down with Jaden Daniels today, and it's like no workout, there's just like a private sit-down, just get to know you kind of thing.
Yep, and so Malik Neighbors, a lot of people have started, again, the idle hands thing with Marvin Harrison Jr., not working out at the combine, not doing much, not running or anything like that. Some people are starting to say that they like Malik Neighbors as much in this draft as they do Marvin Harrison Jr. But to your point, as I was talking about Jaden Daniels in the pro day, his agent did indeed note, Ron Butler, I think is the guy's name, that he's going to be meeting with 6 teams. And that does include, you mentioned the Broncos, the Raiders are in the mix, the Patriots, the Commanders, the Giants, and the Minnesota Vikings.
Hey.
So as we, I think we'll be doing some shows from TCO, Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center, in the weeks leading up to the draft, PA. Maybe the reason we didn't do one today is because Kwesi and KOC and everybody are down in the bayou getting ready to sit down with Jaden.
Yep.
So nothing's off the table when it comes to the draft in April.
Yep, 9 to noon. We'll be there next week, and we will see what we can unearth. As next week will then be like we did the 30 from the draft bid yesterday. So next week will be
2020,
22 days from the NFL draft, and I double down on what I shared with Florio early in the show. The early stages of this draft are going to be unbelievable.
Yeah.
I/we have either been to or done a lot of draft party shows, so I know what the tension in the building feels like. This is going to be a different one. When our team has a couple of picks and the proper currency to get up to a spot to take a quarterback they believe is the proper quarterback. So I'm just really hoping that people don't pretend they have such knowledge and, such a grandiose take on one of these quarterbacks, and then one's taken and it's not the one they wanted. Well, why didn't you want him? Well, I've been arguing on Twitter in defense of this guy for about a month and a half, and now I get to go back on there and, it's I don't know what to do.
Welcome to the team.
Welcome to the team. Yeah, I don't know what to do, man. That's mostly what it is people will they'll have opinions, and that's great. That's what makes fans. Doesn't mean they're right, doesn't mean they're wrong. But they'll get in these Twitter spats, and then it doesn't go their way, and then they get louder, and then they get meaner,
Correct.
You're an idiot, and a nice left guard, and so
I don't want to participate in any of that.
Doing the draft show, you'll be there, Bursich, Lieber, Charch, I assume, the whole thing.
Yeah, the guy with the smoke machine, everybody.
The walk up to 2, and then 3, and then 4. It's when trade comes on the NFL Network crawl, the bottom part of the screen.
Yeah.
It's just going to go nuts.
Well, so there's several elements there. It's going to be potentially by 7:45 p.m., your Thursday night and your Friday's over.
Yeah.
Getting back to our conversation from earlier, by 7:45 p.m., you could potentially know who the QB is. The other end of it is...
Yeah, you've been thinking about that a lot. About the opportunity to leave early.
Yeah,
I heard
absolutely.
Swedberg, Abbott, Alexander, and Legret talking about that the other day. And I said, no, just look past that. He works really, really hard. But anyway, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, but in the past, waiting for 12, right? And in 2022, and then it jumps back to 32.
Bro.
What? Just think.
If Kwesi upsets the metaphorical, speculative apple cart and goes back behind 23, I'm leaving. Now you go and bring in Mike Grimm and let him call whatever game he wants.
I'll see you Monday.
I'm out, man. Well, because it'll prick the metaphorical balloon.
Well,
it's more so the what? Spend all this time doing this and thinking about this and unearthing that and waiting for people in other places to text me back, and they finally do. And then what?
And then you got to sit there
we love Michael Penix. I don't care who you like. It didn't go the way it was supposed to go.
And 5,000 people at U.S. Bank Stadium
I'll leave.
will be looking up at the cartoon going,
Yeah.
well, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Where are we headed, Vox?
Yeah, then I'm leaving, and like Vikes boss comes through on my phone. I take it, like, yeah, I'll turn around.
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Now, Penix is cool, man. Bo Nix is cool. Spencer, who? Yep, I can go sell some hope. All right,
Yep.
cool.
Sorry about that. Got emotional. I'll be back at the
Let's pause.
stadium.
We have another break, right?
Yeah, we got one more.
That was the penultimate. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And I think, as you can tell by the way this is laid out, whether it's yours truly, voice of your favorite football team, or Nordo, Elite Football Mind, we're on this thing, man. We're dropping crumbs. We're dropping hints. We're dropping defined takes, mandates, edicts, and most importantly, emotion for you every single day about this NFL draft. You're foolish if you're into the draft, into the Vikings, and into the National Football League, if you are not listening to this radio show every single minute of every single day, because there are myriad nuggets to be had, and we got some more for you tomorrow. We'll be right back. All right, I think I got it. So Zona has 6 of the top 90 picks, including 4 and 27. And the Vikings have 11 and 23 this year in the first round. Their first round pick next year, no second this year or next year, no second or third this year. Can you repeat the part? Yeah, right. But you get it. I think I got it. Call Zona, call Arizona, call the Cardinals. Bonnie Ossendorf, go crazy. Minnesotan, maybe do us a solid. We get 4 and 27. They get 11-23 in the first round pick from the Vikings next year, along with the 2026 second round and fourth round picks.
I'm confident that we'll be world champions. That's what I've said right from the start, and I'm still confident of that.
I mean, the Cardinals suck, all right? And they got Kyler on a bad deal. So they have to cast their gaze the way of this draft, the next one, and really the next 3. So you're going to need currency in 2026, my brothers, including the Vikings' second round pick and fourth round pick, plus a couple of first rounders this year, a first round next year. We get 2 of their first rounders. We take that quarterback at 4, and then we return with Duke offensive lineman Graham Barton, the most versatile offensive lineman in the draft.
I love how intense you guys are about your Vikings.
Or maybe the whole thing's diseased, and we will provide something new tomorrow. Tomorrow being Thursday, Ben Lieber joins 9 to noon, plus much more. I'm Paul Allen. Here comes Nordo with the wrap on the show.
And thanks to Casey's always for bringing you the show wraps. Casey's, download the app, eat the elite pizza, get to a Casey's today. This show's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Ran into meat sauce, nicknamed the Sweat Catcher. High stature, like Billy Margaret Thatcher. Screensaver in studio for some reasons, Terry Hatcher. Every day a bit of draft chatter, cooking up ideas, feeling like the Mad Hatter. From morning to morning, it's kind of like Jekyll and Hyde. I like this trade, now that guy, mood switching sides. The dude abides like bumping Pat Kessler, our preferred OG, the great Brad Nessler. Anecdotes and takes, opinions to be had. It's kind of like stories from the lap of Uncle Brad. Now tomorrow, got more on the Vikes. Get the snow out of the lane for those who ride bikes. Ben Lieber, Gabe Henderson, other football minds. But we're starting the show tomorrow with Wild Coach Hines. He ain't heavy. He's a punter.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.